exclusive dash cam video, which is now the subject of several law enforcement investigations. It shows the moment a red semi-truck plowed into a number of vehicles on the westbound 10 freeway in Ontario just after 1 p.m. yesterday.
A federal audit found California had issued 62,000 CDLs to drivers who entered illegally, John, or do not have a permanent legal status as required by the feds. California sanctuary laws prohibit asking applicants their immigration status. Governor Newsom said there's not a problem. Back to you.
Did I hear you right? Did you say 62,000?
That's correct.
The Democrats refuse to acknowledge the horrible outcomes from their terrible policies, but we will hold them accountable, as will Karoline Leavitt in this recent press briefing from the White House, where she's going to, of course, discuss the government shutdown and illegal immigration. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
We are now on day 23 of the Democrat government shutdown. Senate Democrats have voted 12 separate times now to keep the government closed. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded health care benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. Since I've found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue to seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples for you today. These are examples of some of the illegals who received Medicaid benefits under President Biden's leadership, and this is what Democrats are wanting to do. This is why they are continuing to keep the government closed. An illegal alien from Laos was arrested for murder, robbery, and felony possession of a firearm. An illegal alien from Guatemala who was arrested for and burglary. An illegal alien from El Salvador who was arrested for strangulation, DUI, and burglary. An illegal alien from Mexico who was arrested for attempted murder. The Democrats' open border policies allowed these threats into our country, and then they provided them with free health care. The president and the Republicans, through the One Big Beautiful Bill, implemented a common sense reform to end this fraudulent scheme. But that's why the Democrats are continuing to shut down the federal government. They are trying to reverse this and restore taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens like these. Throughout this shutdown, Democrats have said this quiet part out loud. Senator Chuck Schumer, the leader of the caucus that is refusing to open the government, said, quote, "Every day gets better as the shutdown continues." Ask the air traffic controllers if every day is getting better, Senator Schumer, and they will tell you absolutely not. House Democrat Catherine Clark said, "There are going to be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously, but this is one of the few leverage points that we have." Here is a House Democrat who is admitting that they are using Americans who are suffering as political leverage. And Senator Bernie Sanders said, "If you reopen the government, we lose our leverage." This is pure partisan games. A senior Democrat aide said the party will not end the shutdown, quote, "short of planes falling out of the sky." That is truly a disturbing statement. The Democrats clearly don't care about this suffering. They care about playing political games against President Trump, and this dangerous charade needs to end. The president and Republicans' position has been clear and unchanged. Pass a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to reopen the government. And then we can talk about all of the partisan issues that the Democrats wish to.
It's being reported that the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash is an illegal immigrant who came in under the Biden administration. Do you know if California gave him a commercial driver's license? And then it also appears that California largely has not been cooperating with English proficiency standards. I'm wondering if the administration has any further plans to punish the state.
Yes, I can confirm that California gave this individual a license, and it is something that the Department of Transportation has already looked into. I know Secretary Duffy, who's doing a phenomenal job, has spoken on this many times in the crackdown that the Department of Transportation is taking on these licenses that are wrongfully being issued to people who clearly do not deserve to uphold these positions. As for this case in California, on October 22nd, ICE lodged an immigration detainer for this individual following his arrest by local authorities in California on charges, as you know, of manslaughter while intoxicated and driving under the influence. He killed 3 people, and he first entered the United States in 2022 through the southern border, and he was released into our country by the previous administration. So now ICE has lodged a separate detainer for this individual, and these tragedies are following a disturbing pattern of these criminal illegal aliens being issued commercial vehicle licenses. And so, yes, the Department of Transportation is absolutely cracking down on that. I defer you to them for any specifics.
Oversight Democrats that are saying that they're creating this master ICE tracker, basically tracking all ICE activity. We've seen the protests in New York just yesterday. Homeland Security is saying that this sounds like obstruction of justice. What do you say?
Again, this is actively putting the lives of our ICE agents at risk. We've seen media outlets, in fact, in this room, also write stories about ICE tracker apps that Democrats and other left-wing activists have created to track the location of ICE agents on the ground in our communities. Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to say it. The men and women of ICE are outstanding people. I wish a Democrat on Capitol Hill would actually have the courage or the guts to stand up to their party and sit down with some of these men and women who are doing this incredibly difficult job of enforcing our federal immigration laws. They are, again, simply trying to enforce the law and do their jobs. And if Democrats spent a little bit more time understanding that and also focusing on the people who they are trying to get out of our country every single day. As I spoke about earlier, 3 innocent people in California are dead because an illegal alien who Democrats let into this country was wrongfully issued a trucker's driving license and clearly was not fit for the job because he was driving intoxicated and killed 3 innocent people. Democrats should focus a little bit more on that. Stop trying to fight this president and this administration on every turn and restore law and order. That's all that we and these brave men and women of ICE are trying to do.
On San Francisco, the president said that he had a call with the mayor and he was planning on surging there, but now because the mayor really wants to fix it up himself, they're going to do that. Is this what Trump hopes happens in pretty much every city?
The president hopes, and I've said this so many times, and I think the president's conversation with the San Francisco mayor last night and his statement today prove the president is willing to work with anyone across the aisle, across the country, to do the right thing and clean up America's cities. He is genuinely interested in this effort to make our streets safer, to make our cities safe and clean again. And he heard from the mayor last night, who told him that he is going to earnestly try to make his city better on his own. The president heard him out. He said, okay, I'll give you a chance. We'll be watching, and if you need us, we are here. And if I feel as though you continue to fail your citizens, the federal government may have to step in. But we'll continue to watch San Francisco, and that law enforcement operation has now been paused.
I have to say, I'm always impressed with how Karoline Leavitt handles these press conferences. She's well-spoken, she's prepared, and is a vast improvement over Corinne Jean-Pierre, who had to look up everything in her binder just to simply answer a basic question. But let's go to rewind to the beginning here, where, of course, Karoline Leavitt is going to talk about the thing that Democrats say cannot happen and yet continues to happen, and that, of course, is illegal immigrants receiving Medicaid benefits. All right? Democrats are like, oh, it's illegal. It's impossible. It doesn't happen, and yet here are clear examples of not just random illegal immigrants, but criminally convicted illegal immigrants receiving those benefits. So can we all agree now that, yes, this does actually happen, and it's a good thing that Donald Trump got rid of it? But, of course, what's the whole shutdown about? It's about giving them back those benefits, right? All of that waste, fraud, and abuse that we found and cut out in the big, beautiful bill and Doge and all that stuff, the Democrats want to restore it. And of course, as was pointed out correctly, the Democrat leadership is using the shutdown as leverage to restore all of that and, of course, get additional trillions in funding for whatever weird woke pet projects they want to fund around the world, not even here in America. But Karoline Leavitt, of course, is revealing the truth. Now, one more thing we want to talk about, of course, is the trucker incident. As I said in my intro at the beginning, the Democrats refuse to acknowledge the horrible outcomes from their terrible policies. Okay, and of course, the wide open border policy flooded the country with illegal immigrants. And then you have places like California and Oregon actually issuing driver's licenses for these big trucking companies. Okay, they're okaying all of this stuff, even though the people, as it's being revealed, are illegal immigrants who don't speak English very well, if at all, and don't read English. So therefore, they are not qualified to be on our roads. But of course, this whole thing is very strange to me because this isn't even an H-1B visa problem, right? This is an illegal immigrant problem because it's bad enough that we're trying to give away these good paying jobs that Americans actually want and will do to foreign nationals. But now, of course, they're giving them away to illegal immigrants that shouldn't be here in the first place. And there needs to be some type of repercussion for all of this. And granted, Donald Trump has actually begun by, of course, withholding $40.6 million from California over the truck driving rules that are basically being ignored and cheated on over and over and over again. But at what point do you have to actually come out and say, you know what, we are going to prosecute all the people in charge of this stuff because they know they're flouting federal law by giving these jobs to illegal immigrants. So let's go after them and work your way all the way up to the chain to possibly Gavin Newsom, because under his watch, all of this stuff is allowed to happen. But of course, the Democrats are going to fight tooth and nail to keep every single illegal immigrant in this country. And of course, as mentioned, how are they doing that? Oh, by launching efforts to track ICE. And of course, this is actual interference with federal law enforcement, which of course is a crime, by the way. So should all of these Democrats be held accountable and prosecuted? I personally think so, because not only are they interfering, they are also putting the lives of ICE agents in danger and those of their families through all of these doxing methods. Okay, but how do you actually approach all of this? Well, as is pointed out, the San Francisco mayor is actually bending the knee a little bit. All right, we have this new mayor who, by all accounts, is a moderate Democrat, if that even exists anymore. And so Mayor Daniel Lurie is actually said, hey, Donald Trump, we are cracking down on crime. We're not going to impede your federal law enforcement efforts. So you know what? You don't have to send in the National Guard. And I say, good. That's what's supposed to happen. The states are supposed to cooperate when it comes to federal jurisdiction, to federal law enforcement. And of course, what's been happening in places like Los Angeles and Portland is they are allowing violent left-wing protesters to impede the federal law enforcement from doing their job. And of course, they're also not allowing their police to stop that violence. So what is Donald Trump doing in response? He's sending in the National Guard and saying, you know what? We supersede your state authority on this federal issue constitutionally, so we're going to go ahead and do it, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. However, when you have someone with half a brain like Daniel Lurie coming out and saying, we are taking care of it, we're going to work with you, you don't have to send in the National Guard, what's Donald Trump's response? Good. All right, everything's fine. Let's continue to work together to, of course, make sure that the rule of law is followed. And that, of course, is all we're asking. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.